One of the best things about gold and silver is that they are both constantly constant and have been for thousands of years of our collective human history, used as money for thousands of years and now as a really incredible vehicle for wealth protection in an ever-changing world. It's something that gives me great comfort to own. One day I might see myself not owning any gold and maybe even selling all my gold. But I can say with a lot of certainty that right now, that time is not happening. And I want to talk about why I think gold and silver are here to stay and are very, very good. Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble where we shoot the breeze about all things precious and shiny. Now don't forget, if you're enjoying our video, to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, as we talk about the constantly constant nature of gold and silver. Now, as I said in my intro, it does give me a lot of comfort to have gold and silver within my portfolio, my finances. It's a way to protect my wealth over a long period of time and hopefully gain some wealth as well. That's not always guaranteed with gold and silver, but there is an avenue for making a little bit of extra money on the side with gold and silver and setting up a whole YouTube business and career from it. That's been a nice little byproduct from me getting into gold and silver stacking. But one day I can certainly see, from my perspective at least, and it might be different to yours, let me know down in the comment section what your perspectives are on this subject, which is exiting gold and silver. Now, I'm nowhere near that point within my life right now, but I am settling happily into my middle age, and it does get you thinking about one's own mortality, and it's a bit of a nasty subject to think about, but we're not going to be here forever, but gold and silver probably will be here forever. So where will I see myself at some point in the future? Will I own zero gold? Probably not zero gold. Will I be exiting a fair amount of my gold at some point? And the answer is inevitably yes, whether it be directly because I've chosen to, or because perhaps it's now time to hand it over to future generations, or perhaps it's just the right time to look to start drawing on some of it. I've always had in the back of my mind that I wouldn't have the gold and silver until I die. Some people stack for that very purpose, and that's absolutely fine. I am not really criticizing anybody's decision making when it comes to future planning on investment wealth. But from my perspective, I do feel like silver and gold are a way to move money through time and not just sit there. I mean, I've spent a lot of money on gold and silver. I have a nice stack. It's great and I love it. But at the same time, that money is what gets you things in the real world. Now, a lot of people will say that you can use gold and silver in the real world, but the real practicalities of it are not very practical at all. Come on, we've got to admit that it is just not very easy to go around and use gold and silver in this modern world. You cash it out, and with the money that you've cashed out, you do other things. That's the plan. Now, I've always thought about my retirement and gold and silver being a top-up to my pension. And the beauty of the vast majority of my stack is that the status of it is capital gains exempt, which means that over a long period of time, I will be able to make some nice gains on that gold and silver and then have that money transported into my retirement. And maybe I've thought about this in a number of different ways of how I would go about it at some point if I was to look to sell everything. Now, I have a platform here. I have a business. I have a burgeoning group of buyers that will quite happily buy everything. And if tomorrow I decided to put up my entire stack for sale on my website or through my buyers club or on the Silver Forum or here on YouTube, that I could sell 95% of it within a week. I really genuinely think I could, if not more. I probably sell all of it in less time than that, if I'm being honest. I'm always overestimating how short a time or how quickly it would be. I'm always saying it's shorter. So yes, it is an interesting thing to think about, but I don't see myself being on YouTube forever. And one day, I don't know exactly when that will be, but one day that'll be enough. And I've been thinking about how that might be for my gold and silver as well. And I do think that one day, at some undefined period in the future, that'll be enough. And to a certain degree, I'm kind of there already in terms of acquiring new gold and silver to the stack. But that's more of a kind of price related situation. I think if silver and gold dropped back massively, if we saw gold drop back below 2,000, I would very strongly consider buying some more. If we saw silver drop below £20 an ounce, so pounds, by the way, dollar pounds, so I think it'd be what, 2,300-ish dollars an ounce, then I'd buy a lot more. And if silver dropped down a lot more, maybe I'd buy a lot more of that. Now, I'm a business, I have to buy silver every year to melt into my poured silver products, but beyond the business side of things, stacking wise, I feel like I'm done. I feel like I'm kind of there. And there's only so much that you can get. And at certain points, it's lovely having all of these half sovereigns. I love them to bits. They're fantastic. It was a sort of nice goal to be able to achieve to get what we've got. But now buying more of them doesn't particularly seem that interesting to me. I've got where I want to be in terms of my stack total and the risk that I'm willing to take by owning physical gold. So when I think about the future, I think maybe there'll be a time when I don't have it and I'll sell it down. Now, I've done videos on how and where to sell gold and where to maybe sell gold in bulk at some point in the future, but that's not something I'm thinking about now. The constantly constant nature of silver and gold, which is the sort of strap line of my video here today, is something that I value so much more. Let's try to find something cool for us to look at. Let's have a look at this tiger. The constantly constant nature of gold and silver is something that I value way more right now than money in the bank. And at some point that will change in the future. But for right now, the world is very, very crazy. And I do feel like having this stuff is much better than not having this stuff. So I will go into a part 2 now of the video, which is if you don't have any of this stuff, then now is a good as time as any to buy it. But make sure that you understand where things will be in the future. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have put a decent amount of wealth into gold and silver, and it's paid me dividends along the way, not physical, literal dividends, but I've bought gold that has over doubled in price. This 2017 purchase has doubled my money. But at some point that will have to be exited. And that's something really important to think about when you're getting into it. So get into gold and silver for the right reasons is what I'm trying to say. And get out of gold and silver for the right reasons as well. I see a lot of people who are trying to jump on bandwagons because they think that the world is going to end and silver and gold are going to be the only thing that you can have that will protect you. And there are scenarios when that will happen, but it's not something that I personally subscribe to. I think it's a nice, to coin a phrase, silver lining. That's all the gold and silver realistically are. Unless you're going to start a YouTube channel and start a business and start selling gold and silver anytime soon, realistically, buy it, stick it in a drawer, forget about it for 20 years, and then come back and be pleasantly surprised at how much things have grown. That's what I would say is the best course of action for gold and silver. Now, in terms of the long term, we can't take it with us. And it's really important to think about that exit strategy right from the beginning. I've said it since the day one of making videos here on YouTube that we really do have to think about that long-term aspect of it. And if you are just ignoring it, fine, ignore it. But don't ignore the fact that at some point you will pop your clogs and your relatives or your loved ones will have to deal with all of your gold and silver. So plan for that. Make sure that people know what it's about, because you see so many different incredible collections of bits and bobs of gold and silver going up for sale at auctions and getting pittance on what they should be getting. And that's very sad, I think. It can put a lot of things in perspective if you've worked very hard your entire life to build up a very, very nice stack of gold and silver and then it just be pawned off at some unscrupulous pawn shop. There are definitely some bad eggs out there in this world that will, I suppose take advantage is the wrong word, because they provide a service, that's what they do, but people don't necessarily know, and it's important to sort of prepare and make sure that things are correctly in order when those awkward conversations come along. And we as human beings are naturally averse to having those awkward conversations about the future and about where things are. You know, I've got a drop down dead Word document, and I've printed it out and put it in the safes as well. You know, if I was to be hit by a bus tomorrow kind of thing, what is where and how do you get access to it, and what do you need to get access to it, and you know what you should be doing with these things. That's the kind of preparation that everybody should really look to be taking. But it's down to each individual person's kind of decision about what is the right course of action for them. And for me, it's not happening anytime soon. So don't worry, I'm not being defeatist about gold and silver. I think there's a lot of room for growth on gold and silver. And I think as long as we, as the Backyard Bullion household, still have our long-term plans in place for retirement, for getting the money that we have right now into the future in an efficient way, the gold and silver that we have is working every day for us, and that's what we want to see. So from my perspective, it's not happening anytime soon, but we all have to think about maybe one day, maybe just, if you don't think about it now, maybe think about it in the future, because it's going to be important, and it's going to, like, why would you potentially throw away thousands of dollars or thousands of pounds on a future generation's decision making when you can try and enact some of those now? So that is what I would like to share. You know, we've got human history to look back on and think, well, kings and queens and emperors and empresses of old and the rich of old would pass wealth down through different generations. And they would do that through the one thing that is constant in our society, and that is gold and silver and the wealth that we attribute to it as a society. And you've only got to look at the beautiful coinage that we've got here. I mean, I think I've got one from a nice old age here somewhere. One of these ones in a little flip. I think it's this one. This is, no, that's the 1884. I've got a very old one somewhere in here. 1852, there we go. So this coin from 1852, it's part of history. You know, that's 170 years now away. Where will things be in 170 years? This coin will still be here, maybe somewhere in a collection somewhere. The gold and silver that you see here will be somewhere. I always think and put it in perspective as well, that the gold and silver that we have, it was formed millions, billions of years ago in the deaths of dying stars, and it's found its way to us, and we're just short-term custodians of it. And that's really kind of put things in perspective. Anyway, look, I don't want to get too down. Things are kind of exciting. Gold and silver in a good place right now, will be continuing to be in a good place for the foreseeable future. So yes, love it. And not anytime soon, but one day I'll be gone and this will be gone and that'll be it. And I'm kind of excited about that at one point, because I'm more excited about the potential that it has for me in the future, rather than, you know, exiting it specifically because I don't like it anymore. But the potential that it will give me, my family, my finances, my future, really gives me a lot of comfort, certainly in a crazy world that we're in right now. So stay happy, stay safe, everyone out there. We need something for the Backyard Bullion Ramblers. I think we've done this bar before in the past, but beyond these two, which we've definitely done that one as well, I don't think I've got a serial number for you, and I'm pretty sure we've done that one too. No more serial numbers. Okay, so instead of a serial number, you're going to quote me this beautiful old, I've lost it again, where did I put it? That beautiful old sovereign, half sovereign that I picked up, here we go. The 1852. If you're in the Cool Kids Club, quote me 1852, and I'll know that you are super extra special cool. If you've enjoyed our little ramble, then please hit the thumbs up button. Let me know your thoughts as well down in the comment section, and we'll see you on the next video. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.